The hike was supposed to be stupidly easy, the kind you do just to post photos and go home tired. That assumption was our first mistake. There were 4 of us, me, my best friend Aaron, his younger sister Mia, and our classmate Lucas. None of us were experienced hikers, but we pretended we were. The trailhead sign was old and faded, warning hikers to stay on the marked path. Aaron laughed and called it stupid, saying it was probably just there to scare tourists. The first hour felt normal. We joked, argued about music, and complained about how long the trail was. The forest was quiet but not unsettling at first. Wind moved the leaves and everything felt natural. Then Mia noticed something strange. She said the forest sounded wrong. We stopped walking to listen. There were no birds. Lucas said we were overthinking it. He told us to keep moving before it got dark. The path slowly narrowed, turning from dirt into packed soil with deep footprints. The prints were barefoot. Aaron joked that maybe some hippies lived up here. No one laughed. The footprints didn't overlap or wander. They walked in a straight line, single file. Mia whispered that they looked fresh. I noticed there were no prints coming back the other way. We reached a wooden marker that wasn't on the map. It pointed deeper into the trees. Aaron said this had to be a shortcut. He took it before anyone could stop him. The air changed immediately. It smelled like damp stone and something sour. Lucas said this was stupid and that we should turn back. The trail behind us was gone. The trees looked identical in every direction. Even the ground felt unfamiliar. We tried retracing our steps, but every turn led us deeper. My phone compass spun endlessly. That's when we heard breathing. It wasn't heavy or aggressive, just slow and patient. Aaron told us to stop messing around. His voice shook when he said it. The breathing moved. It circled us. Mia grabbed my arm and whispered that something was copying our footsteps. I didn't answer because I heard it too. Lucas suddenly screamed. He said something touched his backpack. We turned around, but nothing was there. His bag was open. Inside, his water bottle was crushed. It looked like someone had squeezed it by hand. Aaron finally admitted this wasn't funny anymore. He said we needed to stay together. We walked faster, almost jogging. The breathing followed. Mia started crying quietly. She said she could hear her name. Aaron shouted that it wasn't real. The forest answered him using his own voice. We ran. Branches cut our arms as the ground sloped downward. Lucas slipped and fell. When we turned back, he was gone. There was no scream, no struggle, just silence. Mia begged us to go back for him. Aaron said we couldn't. The forest felt closer now, like it was leaning in. We burst into a clearing where the ground was bare. In the center stood a stone marker. It was covered in handprints, human ones. The breathing stopped. Something stepped out of the trees. It looked wrong. Too tall, too thin, like it learned how to stand by watching us. Its face shifted as it moved. It couldn't decide which of us to wear. Mia screamed when it smiled. The smile was Aaron's. Aaron whispered that we were stupid for coming here. The thing repeated it perfectly. I grabbed Mia's hand and ran. Aaron ran behind us. The forest screamed. Trees cracked and snapped as something chased us. Mia tripped. I pulled her up. Aaron didn't get back up. We reached the trailhead as the sun dipped below the trees. The forest went silent again. People were there, laughing, taking photos. No one noticed us screaming. Search teams came later. They found Lucas's shoe. They never found Aaron. Months later, Mia refuses to hike. She still hears breathing at night. Last week I received a voicemail. It was Aaron's voice. He laughed softly and said, "That was stupid, wasn't it?" We told the police everything, but the mountain didn't exist on any official map. They said we must have wandered off a known trail and panicked. Mia stopped speaking after that day. She only stared at doors, like she was waiting for them to open on their own. Weeks later, hikers started going missing near different mountains. Always beginners, always in small groups. I tried to forget it ever happened. I failed every time I closed my eyes. One night, I received a message from an unknown number. It was just a photo. It showed a stone marker covered in handprints. One of them was mine. I threw my phone across the room. It vibrated again seconds later. This time, it was a voice message. Aaron's voice sounded calm. He said the mountain wasn't empty anymore. He said it was hungry. I stopped hiking after that. I stopped going near forests. Last month, Mia disappeared. Her room was empty except for muddy footprints leading to the window. On her desk was a map. A new trail was circled in red. Yesterday, I woke up with dirt under my fingernails. My shoes were by the door, wet and muddy. I don't remember leaving the house. But my legs ache like I walked for hours. There's a smell in my room now. Damp stone and rust. My phone just vibrated again. It says my location has been shared. The pin isn't at my house. It's moving. And wherever it's going, I know the mountain is walking back to me. The hike was supposed to be stupidly simple, the kind you finish and forget about the next day. I remember thinking how embarrassing it would be if we somehow managed to mess it up. There were 5 of us this time: me, my friend Tyler, his girlfriend Bree, my cousin Jonah, and Jonah's co-worker Sam. None of us were experts, but we'd all done a few trails before. The trailhead parking lot was half empty when we arrived. A wooden sign stood near the entrance, cracked and leaning, like it had been there too long. Tyler read the sign out loud and laughed. He said whoever wrote it was being dramatic. We started hiking around mid-morning. The sun was high, and the forest felt warm and normal. Bree played music quietly from her phone as we walked. It felt relaxed, almost boring. About 30 minutes in, Sam pointed out that we hadn't seen another hiker in a while. Jonah said that was probably a good thing. The trail slowly narrowed, turning rocky and uneven. My legs started to burn, and I complained about it. Tyler told me to stop whining. He said this was the easy part. The trees grew taller, their branches tangled together overhead. The light thinned until everything looked dimmer. Bree turned her music off without saying why. The sudden quiet felt heavy. We all noticed it at the same time. The forest sounded wrong. There were no birds, no wind, just us. Jonah tried to joke about it, but his voice didn't carry far. It felt like the trees swallowed the sound. Stopped walking suddenly. He said he heard footsteps behind us. We turned around together. The trail was empty. Tyler rolled his eyes and called it stupid. He kept walking anyway. A few minutes later, I heard it too. A step that didn't match ours. It wasn't loud. It was careful. Bree grabbed Tyler's arm and told him to slow down. Her hand was shaking. We reached a bend in the trail where the ground dipped slightly. Something was carved into a rock there. It was a symbol none of us recognized. It looked old, but the edges were sharp. Jonah said it must be a marker. Sam said markers didn't look like that. Tyler took a photo of it. The flash reflected off something wet in the carving. The air smelled strange after that, like rain that never fell. We walked another 10 minutes before realizing the trail looked unfamiliar. The rocks and trees repeated, like a copied image. Bree said she felt dizzy. I told her we should take a break. Sam checked his phone. There was no signal, and the GPS wasn't loading. Jonah said we should turn around now. No one argued. We turned back. The bend in the trail was gone. The rock with the symbol wasn't there anymore. The ground was smooth. Tyler laughed nervously and said, "We probably just missed it." His laugh sounded fake. We kept walking anyway. The forest felt tighter now. The footsteps came back, closer. They stopped when we stopped. They moved when we moved. Sam whispered that something was copying us. No one told him he was wrong. The temperature dropped suddenly. I could see my breath. Bree said she could hear whispering. It sounded like someone arguing far away. Tyler finally stopped acting confident. He said we needed to stay together no matter what. That's when Jonah screamed, not loud, sharp. We spun around. Jonah was staring at the trees. He said someone was standing there. He said it looked like Sam. Sam was right next to me. Jonah's hands started shaking. He kept saying, "It's smiling wrong." The thing in the trees stepped forward. Its movements were slow, like it was thinking. The forest went completely silent. Even our breathing sounded too loud. Then the thing spoke. It used Jonah's voice. The thing repeated Jonah's voice perfectly, asking us why we were staring. Hearing it come from the trees made my stomach twist. Sam backed away slowly. He kept saying that wasn't him, that it wasn't possible. The thing tilted its head. When it stepped into the light, its shape shifted. It looked like Sam, but stretched wrong. Its smile didn't reach its eyes. Bree screamed and covered her face. Tyler grabbed her and pulled her behind him. The thing took another step forward. The ground didn't crunch beneath it. Jonah whispered that it was learning. He said it was practicing. Tyler shouted for us to run. No one argued. We ran blindly through the trees, branches cutting our skin. The forest felt endless. Behind us, footsteps followed. They weren't rushing. Sam tripped and fell hard. When I turned back, something else was already kneeling beside him. It leaned close to Sam's face. Then it stood up alone. Bree sobbed as we kept running. Tyler didn't look back. The trail suddenly ended at a steep drop. Below us was nothing but fog and trees. Tyler said we couldn't stop. He said stopping was worse. The forest spoke again, this time using Sam's voice. It told us it was lonely. Bree froze. She said she heard her own voice calling her name. Something stepped out of the fog. Then another. They looked like us, all of us. Tyler whispered that we were stupid for coming here. One of the copies smiled wider when he said it. We ran in different directions. I don't remember choosing. At some point the forest grew quiet again. Too quiet. I found the trailhead just before sunset. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely stand. People were there, acting normal. No one noticed I was bleeding. Search teams came later. They found no bodies. They found Tyler's phone near the drop. The last photo was of me, taken from behind. Bree was never found. Neither was Sam or Jonah. Months passed. The nightmares didn't stop. Sometimes I hear footsteps when I'm alone. Sometimes I hear my own voice answering back. Last night I checked my phone. There was a new photo. It was the trailhead sign, freshly repaired. Under it was a message written in dirt. Bring more next time. I'm in my early 40s now, and I don't hike anymore. Not because I'm tired, but because I know better. Back then, I still thought I had control over things. I believed experience meant safety. I wasn't alone on that trip. There were 4 of us. My coworker Dennis invited me, saying it would be a good way to clear my head. He brought his younger brother Kyle and a friend named Rebecca. The trail was an old one, rarely maintained, but still marked on official maps. That should have been the first warning. We started just before noon. The sky was clear, and the air felt thin but clean. Dennis joked about how this was nothing compared to his gym workouts. Kyle laughed and said he hoped the mountain didn't hear him. Rebecca walked quietly behind us. She said she liked listening to the forest. About an hour in, I noticed the trail signs looked newer than the path itself. The wood was fresh, but the arrows pointed in odd directions. Dennis said I was overthinking it. He told me to relax. The forest grew denser as we climbed. Sunlight broke into sharp beams that didn't move. Kyle asked if anyone else felt like we were walking uphill for too long. No one answered him. We stopped near a narrow ridge to drink water. That's when Rebecca said something that stuck with me. She asked why the forest sounded like it was waiting, not quiet, waiting. Dennis laughed it off, but his voice echoed strangely. It sounded delayed. I felt a pressure in my ears, like altitude sickness without the altitude. My head started to ache. The trail narrowed until we had to walk single file. The drop beside us was steep and hidden by fog. Kyle slipped slightly and cursed. The fog below moved when he did. Rebecca pointed out that the fog wasn't drifting. It was rising. Dennis said we should turn back soon. His confidence was gone. When we turned around, the ridge behind us looked different. The trail markers were gone. The fog climbed faster. It swallowed the path below. I suggested we stay calm and keep moving together. I didn't want to say the word lost. Kyle asked if mountains could change. No one answered. We heard a voice call Dennis's name from somewhere ahead. It sounded tired. Dennis froze. He said it sounded exactly like our boss. Rebecca whispered that voices shouldn't echo uphill. She was right. The voice called again, closer. This time it laughed softly. Kyle stepped forward before I could stop him. He said maybe someone needed help. Dennis grabbed Kyle's arm. The fog shifted around us like it reacted. That's when we saw it standing on the trail ahead. It was shaped like a man but hollow in the middle. It looked unfinished, like it was still deciding how to exist. Rebecca gasped when it turned its head. Its face looked almost right, almost. It spoke again, this time using my voice. It asked why I brought them here. My legs locked. I couldn't breathe. Dennis shouted for us to run. His voice broke. We turned and ran along the ridge. The fog followed, faster now. Kyle stumbled again. This time something grabbed him. He didn't scream. That's what haunts me. Dennis tried to go back. I dragged him away. Rebecca was praying under her breath. I don't remember what I said. The fog cleared suddenly. The ridge ended. We collapsed onto a familiar trail. The sky looked wrong, darker than it should have been. Rescue teams searched for Kyle for weeks. They found nothing. Dennis quit his job soon after. He never spoke about the hike again. Rebecca sends me messages sometimes. She asks if I hear my voice calling my name at night. I do. That's why I don't hike anymore.